Well, howdy, y'all. Welcome to another energizing episode of the High Voltage Live Show. I'm your host, Willie Snyder, coming to you live from the Mile High City in Denver, Colorado, joined by my awesome co-host, Mr. King James Stallcup, over there in Lone Star State, Lone Star Country, giving old hook 'em horns for the old Longhorns over there. And, it's really awesome that you put these together every week, King James, and so much fun doing them. I'm sporting my Habs shirt because, I wish they would have beat those Carolina, but I'm really pulling for the Canes to get her done. And like I say, I think it'd be kind of cool to watch the Hurricanes win a Stanley. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but we'll see. I spared you the quiz on hockey this week because really wanted to do it on Game 5 since we're competing with Game 5, but I decided to do Game 5 NBA, so gotcha.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
should be easy.
Yeah.
Should be really easy. Game 5 NBA's all time.
Just on
I'm
Game
sure
5
you
alone.
remember.
That's going to be easy. Yeah. Usually it's a series. You're not certain games in a series. I mean, God, that's going to be hard. There might be
We'll
one
see.
or two in there. I know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's all 80s, like back when you were the original King James.
Who we got in here so far?
Oh, I just posted up. That's just saying what's up, everyone, from the podcast. So really appreciate everyone joining us. It's always a lot of fun. It was crazy the other day. I came out on the job site, and one of the guys was like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" And he goes, "I've been on your podcast," and I was like, "Right on." And so I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." And he's trying to go test for his journeyman. So hopefully, all you journeymen out there are getting your hours this week. I know I am, man. I'm already over 40, so pretty crazy. Like it's crazy how fast things go these days when you get
Oh,
busy.
yeah. Yeah. Dad, I don't know what the hell's going on to him. He getting the coughing again. I'm like, damn, dude. I told him, I said, you need to quit doing stuff. I said, hell, you're getting old. And he just, he's got to get out. He's got to go walking. I'm like, slow down some. I said, hell, you're just getting over sickness. I guess he just thinks he's still a freaking Iron Man. So
That's funny. Well, no, it's really awesome that we can do this every week, and I'll try to figure out if we can get like some audio files in. Maybe go back to like showing the audio. Like, dude, it's so funny. Like those guys are crying so hard about the 625 stuff. Like the whole entire 625 to me is just a real broken section. Like it's to me what it was is it was a chance for the liberals to get their hands in the code book and make all these rules so that you have to bow to them. And to me, it's just ridiculous because how is this equipment any different than anything else? And they're like, oh, well, now every car on the road is going to be EV in 2030 and 2034 and all this. Ridiculous. It's not going to happen. And, a lot of the power companies are like, really, where are you getting all that power from?
yeah.
So it's going to be interesting, and we'll see how much of the 2026 is actually kind of, I guess, complemented when it comes to like this qualified person thing. It's like you don't see NFPA 72 coming out with like oh, well, now you have to have qualified people. To me, it's crazy, but I mean, like I don't see what's the difference. Like that's what I put in for my public input for 2029. I said, what's the difference between a qualified person able to install EVSE, and just a regular electrician? What's so complex about it? And it's just funny. And oh, look, he's just finally showed up. Got his music for him. Got the clown intro for you there, buddy. Um, but yeah, so it's a lot of fun doing these. What'd you think of the meme of the week?
It was funny. Yeah.
Check it out.
All right, let's roll it.
So what was funny is a lot of people did research, found out that's an Australian 240 volt plug, 240 volt recep, and so I thought it was pretty funny, you know. So
Well, that's probably some type of thing that Jeremy probably teaches.
oh yeah, well he says it's been out there for years, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
been out there for years. See, what's he commenting on tonight? So what is he
oh
saying?
yeah, he's just trying to throw as much insults as he can, you know,
Let's
trying to
see
do
what he
whatever.
said here. It's Yep, let's see it. You what? I don't know what he's talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
I don't know. He just wants to come in here and throw a bunch of crap against the wall and try to, think he's important and nobody cares. But it's pretty funny. I
well,
actually have people like, yeah, who is that angry union guy? Like they already know he's in the union. Like it's so
oh
hilarious,
yeah.
man.
It
But
well, I mean, he has this sort of elitist attitude, and uh, everybody's seeing exactly the type of person he really is. I mean, and we don't come over and say anything to you, Jeremy. I could care less, but
yeah,
when I comment back, it's because he's putting my name in everything, and
well, and he just can't get over the fact that I work industrial, I work at DIA, I work at an industrial facility, and everything we buy is a tested. It's all tested equipment. We don't install breakers out at DIA. It all comes factory assembled. It's already been tested 100%. And just get off your little pie in the sky that you're gonna be right again when you're not. And like I say,
well,
I know how this shit works. So
you gotta give him a little bit of a break. I mean, he sits in the office all day. He doesn't really get out and see real electrical work and new equipment coming out, you
true.
know. And I mean, if he was an inspector, he would see these type of things. If he went out and had to look at jobs, so Jerry, somebody, a company that hires you to come out and look at their specialized equipment and seeing all the new stuff that's coming in, then you start
True.
really learning something. And I've actually done that. He's not done that. And that's part of the problem. You get these guys like Jeremy. I like to call them the keyboard warriors of the internet. And they come on there and just start mouthing off and just giving their opinions on everything. And he thinks because he's an instructor at his local union that since he's in the union, everybody should listen to him.
Well,
And
yeah, and you could tell when they're losing the argument because they just start, just slinging mud at both me and you, and we've been telling
let,
you,
let me
Jeremy, it's
let
making you
me
look bad, bro. It's not a
let
good
me
look,
let me
you know.
comment on that. He sits there and says that, but these two morons have actually been instructors for NFPA. I have for over 30 years. Dad, he may be running on 200 years. I don't know. But they also published our publications. And they had their engineering staff and everybody go through, edit our publications. They wasn't going to put something out without doing an edit on it, especially since they had their logo on it as the publishers. And and all these stuff that Jeremy's arguing about, the staff at NFPA agreed with the way we did it. But and then he'll
True.
turn around and come over and say, "Yeah, y'all are a bunch of freaking morons." Blah 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 blah. But yet, my dad's been chairman of different code making panels. I've been his alternate on those. We've been on the NFPA 70B committee. We were on, and that's when it first got really going. We were on the 70E pretty much since the start of it. And we were also on the EECA committee, which is electrical equipment and chemical atmospheres. And that covers NFPA 496, 497, and 499. And
Yeah.
uh, Dad is such an idiot. At that time, they didn't allow special experts to be on the code making panels, but that panel was so screwed up. Guess what? They went and got a moron to go and run that code-making panel to get it all straightened up and all the misinformation and everything that was there based on the previous code-making panel to get it right. But yet Jeremy turns around and tries to tell us the code-making panels never make any mistakes, basically, that they're the ones that are right. And here I am, one of the people that were involved in it when they had to go in and fix one up because it was so screwed up.
Yeah, and the thing is that he just doesn't get it. That it's a number 12 that's being protected by a 20 amp breaker. You're not, the whole run is not 14. So I don't know where you're getting this like misinformation that you think that the whole circuit all of a sudden magically becomes 14 now all of a sudden, when you're totally twisting the whole argument. Because
sure is. And this is a good example. We've got a myth tonight about a panel board in a bathroom. Okay. And we're going to go through that. And if somebody said now, can you do that? They'd say, hell no, you can't do that. But based on the code at the time, guess what? They did do that. Huh? And they had to come in and do some clarification there. Well, when we were having on this podcast, I'm explaining this, and I said, today, there's still jurisdictions that allow you to take a number 12 down there and then branch out to the rooms in a commercial and go over there with number 14. And the reason they do it is because it's easier to terminate the devices and everything else. And plus, on top of that, it would still function properly. And I asked him, would it still function properly? He goes, yeah. I said, what's your problem? I was like, I'm trying to teach you real world installations, Jeremy, and what you'll see people do in jurisdictions would permit. And you know, they always like to use this, especially some of them boys over at ECD. Oh, we making sure we're doing that because we're providing safety. Okay, well, is there a safety issue there? No, there was no safety issue. So what's your problem?
Yeah. Look who popped in. What's up, Daniel? What's up, Daniel? Dude, we already got the clown in the chat, bro. Got it going already.
Well, we got those jobs. That's all. But the thing that gets me when I'm looking at all of this stuff, and we go through all this, and everything Jeremy has come in, and just like he is now, calling me names and my dad names. My dad won't even engage with him. He says he's a freaking idiot. But he sits there and makes all these things, but yet all the things that we have in there, NFPA edited and agree with. But somehow now Jeremy is the moral authority and the boys over at ECD. And what they say is correct.
Yeah, and he's going to sit there and quote 240.4, but he's not even going to pay attention to any of the tap rules or any of the other rules you could use. He's just going to look at one thing and say, oh, yeah, I'm right, and you guys are wrong. And it's like, whatever, dude.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of you, Jeremy, and the rest of you idiots over ECD, that y'all go over there and you'll take 210.8F, and then you look at an outlet and use that definition, just say it applies to everything when it doesn't.
Yeah.
And what's great, we prove that fact. And I'll tell you how we did it, Jeremy, because the code making panel went over and tried to change the definition. And guess what? They changed it to what y'all said. And they go, oh, wait a minute. That won't work. Yeah. And then they had to take it back to the original definition. Did the same thing based on Bill's 625.54, and they added a whole new section B in there. Guess what? It caused all kinds of problems. Like we tried to tell y'all, but y'all don't listen to us. And guess what they ended up doing? Oh no, you got to be kidding. They took it back to what it was.
Yeah.
I tell you. And those are facts. That's not like us giving an interpretation. We can show, well, we've already showed all that stuff. And what was funny is I was going through showing some of that, was it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? David Englehart didn't even know some of the stuff it had. He goes, wow. He goes, I didn't know that. I said, yeah. And David Englehart actually used to believe what y'all did, I think. I don't think he does anymore because he's seeing, because we're given the the black and white showing you exactly step by step.
True.
And that's why Jeremy, you and all them ECD boys over there don't like us.
Yeah,
So
and Daniel's
therefore,
already
we're morons.
like, holy crap! Like Daniel's like losing the comment arguments. The comment. Like I think they gave you like a comment award. Like I think Jeremy's already at like 200 points already. For
Well,
comment.
Jeremy's drinking tonight, probably.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he's probably on his drinking binge again. That's the excuse he always used when he got caught. Now he's just
like
like,
you've been gone for like a month, and now all of a sudden you want to come on the show and just try to be right because you're not, and it's really funny because you've been destroyed like multiple times by me and King James, and so
I want to know, just what he shows here. Really show the documentation. What documentation is that, Jeremy? Because anybody that has followed knows 100% that you said, oh, he wasn't Jeremy the code making panel. I provided that documentation on something you were doing. You left and jumped off to something else, and you wanted documentation that they ever published our things, and we just pulled out an old code book and showed in the insert where they had everything in there. I mean, all of this actually has happened to everybody, and he still comes on here, says provide documentation.
Yeah, and what's really funny about this, Jeremy, is if every apprentice just quit your program, you'd be really freaking sad because they're probably sick of your whiteboard.
No, what he's saying is, why don't they just use our stuff? Let me explain this. All right.
He's misguided because he's saying the apprentices.
Yeah, let me explain it. Because you have apprenticeships, Jeremy, and in order to become an apprenticeship, you got to go through a lot of different things, set up schools. I mean, there's a lot of things. You have on-the-job training, certain hours of school, classroom training, and everything. And every state actually differs in the way they do that. Okay, so you have to set up. That's why the union has different areas. So like you got certain requirements in Texas, certain requirements in Minnesota, certain requirements in New York. They're all different. And that doesn't matter if it's union, non-union, whoever. So it could be IBEW. It could take and be IC. It could be Faith Technology. I mean, it just goes on. And then you've got some that have gotten to where they've started setting up in different junior colleges and county colleges, and they use our stuff. Okay. But you take the big organizations, they put their own stuff together, Jeremy. Okay. And it's recommended to use it. But I want everybody to see just how good the union boys are. Okay. Because when I went through the apprenticeship of the union, we were called the NJETC. That's the National Joint Apprenticeship Training. Okay. And they had the material and stuff, and that's where you got your material. Now they don't have that anymore. It's called the ETA, I think, Electrical Training Alliance or whatever. They branched off from the union. They're like their own entity now. Okay. And they actually, and I know this 100% fact because Bob Baird told me, who was over the IEC, and they would have their meetings and stuff down in St. Louis. Of course, how would Jeremy say documentation? But I happen to know where they had the meetings. And if there are any IEC instructors on here that were going to those meetings they had, they'd have all the instructors come in, and we would go in and we'd have our stuff there. Well, during that time, guess who actually tried to get the non-union user stuff? ETA. Which is the union. And I know that 100% fact that happened. And that shows you how good your union boys are towards the other union boys. If when I was a union was union, you only use union. You didn't let anybody else use your material or anything. But now all of a sudden they're branching out, trying to say, why is that, Jeremy? Since you're all that good union brotherhood that you preach, everybody. And the thing is, I am union. And I actually, let me explain this, my family, Jeremy, because you'll sit there and you talk a bunch of crap and you don't know about anybody, their family history or nothing. Do you know who set up and helped get the union set up here in the local and everything? My grandfather was on the committee, Harry White Electric, that helped establish Local 116 here in Fort Worth. That is 100% fact. Go look it up. But yet I'll have all these union boys try to tell me about good union brothers and stuff when I actually had family put the work in that actually had a great program down here and everything. And then of course you get all these people, these business managers and all this, they come in and guess what? They ended up having their good buddy system put in place and wasn't putting people to work except for their good friends and wasn't keeping it in order. And then, of course, what happened? It went down.
Yeah, and like I just want you to show me, Weed Man, where in the code does it actually say that an AC is an outdoor outlet? You want us to show proof? You show us proof. Where is the specific language that says that? Like that's what's so funny. He wants us to show specific proof that there's no outlet, and I'm like, you show us proof that there is an outlet because you can't do it. So
Excuse me, it's sinus weather down here.
yeah.
I got a question for Jeremy. This will be a really good one. Y'all are all into wording and you know, whenever somebody disagrees with y'all, you got your Ted Fritzes and all, then come and go, you don't read too well. All right, let me ask you a question, Jeremy. When it says an outlet installed for the connection of utilization equipment, where's the outlet?
Huh?
And it's hardwired. Where is the outlet? Because the outlet has to be installed in order for you to connect to the equipment. It's not saying you install the equipment and the outlet's there. Nowhere does it say that language. So if you want to get into saying, oh, reading must be too hard for you, well, anybody listen to this podcast, I go ahead and comment on this. If I tell you that the outlet is installed for the connection of hardwired utilization equipment, does that mean that there's an outlet already there and you connect to it? Or does it mean you put the equipment in, then you're connected to an outlet?
There he goes, insulting all Texas again. You know, we told you guys. It says Texas is the armpit of the country.
Oh, God. Yeah. Really? That's interesting because aren't you in Minnesota? Oh, isn't that where all this fraud and everything's taking place? Ain't down here in Texas. And you're going to call Texas the armpit, but yet we're looking down at Texas. Texas is now about to become the energy capital of the world and probably the technology capital of the world. And there's more Fortune 500 companies down here now than there is in California. We have now become the gold standard, Jeremy. So I guess all of us dumbass Southerns, like you like to refer to us hillbillies, us hicks, are doing pretty good. I'd say that doesn't seem like the armpit. And you ought to come down here and check out Austin, all the work that's going on there, all the new freeway systems that are going in. Even down in Abilene, which isn't a big place, we've got a huge AI system going in there. Down in Austin, we just had Tesla build a whole bunch of big stuff out there. We got Samsung building a big place out there. I think NVIDIA is coming down here. I just sat here and go on and on with this all day. Do you know they got a thing that they're about to start doing? I just read about this project, but down in Houston, down on the coast, they're going to be expanding out the shipping lanes, and they're building a wall down by the coast there for when the tides are coming in and everything to keep from flooding Houston. and they're building all that all the way down there. And when they open the shipping lanes right now, you can only come in and out. They have to coordinate. They say when they get this opened up and the way they're going to open it and everything, that ships will be coming in and out continuously. You won't stop. And
Wow.
They've got a bunch of pump stations and everything where they're bringing it all in. And then there was another thing they were doing, some area where there's a whole bunch of natural gas, and they're saying it's going to become the natural gas capital too.
Nice.
And
Well, and this just shows your ignorance here, Jeremy, because you want to sit there and say that what specific piece of equipment do you need to install that for there to be an outlet? But what you have to understand, and this is for everyone out there that is not in Jeremy's class, because he's not going to teach you this, is that in the 2020 it said outdoor outlets for connection of utilization equipment require GFCI protection. For some reason, somebody submitted a public input and it changed in 2023 and said all outlets installed for the connection of utilization equipment. So I'm just pointing out, like, why did they change that? And why was that language changed? Probably because they got busted, probably because they got called out for trying to, push their agenda, and it didn't pay off.
yeah, I tell you the thing. Hey, David, how you doing, brother? Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
One of the things I find most interesting, Jeremy, is that us dumb hicks down here in Texas, you just referenced, are going to be actually the electricians that are going to be wiring all this stuff. So to be the armpit of the United States, apparently, let me put it this way. I'm amazed that so many glorified ditch diggers are going to be able to take and get every bit of this working down here and building the economy the way it's going right now.
Oh, and Daniel's throwing some shots out there. They're building data centers in North and South
Yes,
Dakota, Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming. Oh, they decided to skip Minnesota. That's fun.
Yeah, they skipped California too. Matter of fact, you look at all those areas up there where all the frauds happen, everything. Look at all the companies that moved from California. Look at the ones that are moving from Washington up in Seattle, and they're moving to places like Nashville, Texas. Well, the two main ones are and New York also is mainly which two states? Texas and Florida. Those are ones that are booming. Tennessee is freaking booming. There's a lot that's being moved into that area. And then the Dakotas, there's a lot going in Dakotas. And let me tell you, Dakotas are going to do really good. And you know why? Because they got a big presence up there for the oil and gas industry.
Yeah.
That they've built out there.
Well, and that's the whole thing that I'm glad that Weedman started to realize that you don't have to install any piece of equipment to say that you didn't install an outlet. So I would tell the AHJ, come up to me, hey man, point out the outlet that I installed and I will GFCI protect it. Pretty simple.
That's my whole point. When this all started, and you remember I said this, I said, an outlet is installed where you connect something. And I said, I'll make this easy for you boys over at ECD. I said, it's where you cord and plug connect something. And there's no outlet. And I want everybody to understand this. This is another thing. And Jeremy was part of this. We can't, it was so long ago. I'm not going back looking at all. But Bill knows he was involved in this. Jeremy, all them boys at ECD, Ryan, Mike, every one of them, they all said, the outlet is on the load side of the disconnecting means.
That's 100%.
That happened. And they told me, same thing right here. You and your dad are freaking morons. Y'all are idiots. You don't know we're not out. You don't know there's an outlet on the load side. And I said, okay, well, let's go look at a disconnecting means. And I went to that definition, one or more devices, went to a device, and I told him, I said, so you're telling me that a circuit breaker, a fuse, any of that can be used as an outlet? Oh, then it went quiet for about 2-3 hours, and then they come back with something else. Tell me I'm lying, Bill. No,
Ah, you're 100%.
oh,
Like
this
I
gets
was
me.
blown away. Like so I did my top 5 podcasts, and me and you were just talking with each other. It was like probably first time I really met you before we even did podcasts or anything. And I was telling you about the whole outlet stuff, and you're like, "What? That's what they're saying," and like you couldn't believe it. Like you were blown away. And I was just telling you, I was like, "Man, I cannot believe that they're sitting there saying this." And then what they do, they backpedal and they add the word installed in there just to cover their butt because they know that they got it handed to them. And the whole thing was, it's like, oh, okay, so you guys want to do all that underhanded stuff? All right, well, guess what? I'll pretend to be on your side on 62554 and say, let's just add outlet to this too because it has to be the same because, just like Jeremy's saying, it's connected to the premises wiring and all that. When they realize that the outlet is the EV, the outlet is where the vehicle connects to the EVSE, and then it just totally screwed their argument. And I saw it, and I knew it was going to happen.
Hold on, let me answer that question. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And I will give you the opportunity right at this time, Jeremy, to come in and tell me one piece of equipment that's hardwired that has an outlet. Just go ahead. Let's just hypothetically, I'll help you out here. Y'all say there's one at the AC unit. Okay. Now, y'all have told anybody that follows our podcast knows everything I'm about to tell you is true. Y'all have assured us that the National Electrical Code overrides the listing and labeling.
True.
Have they not told us that?
Yeah.
Okay.
100.
Now, if that's the case, Jeremy, and I go in and I look at anything I install outside from the conductors to an outlet or box, anything, doesn't matter, whatever's outside, does it have to be weatherproof? Okay,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
This is what gets me here. Now, the code apparently overrides. So how can the manufacturer and the listing and labeling, when I go in there and I make my connections there at the terminals, how can that not be a weatherproof enclosure? Because the conductors are still required to be THWN, for example, going in there.
True.
So why is the enclosure not required? Because all other outlets that are outside, if I got a receptacle outlet out there, does it need to be weatherproof? Yeah. So I'm making connections, and doing all that stuff. Anything I put outside that's considered an outlet has to have a weatherproof enclosure. Okay. Now, if you want to get into looking at that, we can just go look at the weatherproof enclosure requirements where there's an outlet and it says has to be. How is AC unit not required, Jeremy?
So I actually know this firsthand, King James, because I did like a car wash, and there was a lot of equipment that was like sketch. You know what I mean? Like it was like you could see the wiring in it. Like it's like water's gonna hit that. And the AHJ was like, dude, I need some documentation on this. And I got a blanket across the board statement that if it's inside factory wired equipment, it's considered a dry location.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter. And AHJ said, well, good job, and dude, here's Daniel. Man. Dude, that's so awesome, dude. And Daniel's a Colorado journeyman too, so that's awesome.
He puts this in there all the time. There's nobody and Jeremy. I just gave you a full freaking breakdown of all kinds of stuff. And I think of it this way. This is a good way.
And see, you guys want to just keep pushing your thing because that's what they tried to do in 2020. But guess what? It got changed. And why did it get changed, Jeremy? You tell me. You tell me why they accepted my public input in part and added the word installed. Why did they do that?
Well,
I think it's cool. I was glad. Like when I saw that I submitted a public input and they rejected it, but then they accepted one piece of the language. I was like, yeah, because you guys know that's gonna make you look good. If you say, oh
exactly.
yeah, we always said it was gonna be installed. Yeah, oh well, we installed the utilization equipment. The outlet's installed. No, that's not the way that works.
Hmm.
They tried. Good, nice try there, Jeremy, but it didn't work. Can't
Well,
backpedal a whole code cycle and just make yourself right.
it's just like we brought up one time, and I said, if you know, here's one for you, Jeremy. Now, this isn't me. This is the code making panel. Okay, so I want you to give me an installation here, Jeremy. They specifically stated that a disconnecting means does not always have a is not always an outlet.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to give me an installation where the disconnecting means is an outlet.
So what he's gonna say is he's gonna say when it's a factory wired utilization equipment with a factory wired uh, whip, then the outlet is gonna move to the disconnect now
No, no, that
because
can't
that
be.
factory wiring is not covered by the National Electric Code. That's what they're gonna say.
Oh, what? Oh, that can't be, Jeremy, because NEC overrides the listing
Yeah.
and labeling. You, that's what I'm been trying to teach everybody on here. You have to take the code book as a whole. You can't pick and choose here, sir. I've been trying to
Yeah.
tell y'all this forever, and everything that we're showing everybody on here, our everything we do stays consistent all the way through the wiring system.
Yeah,
Y'all
and
keep jumping around.
if you guys don't believe that, that proof is in the comments. Go back and review the comments on this podcast right here. And Weedman's quoting 240.4, not even looking at the tap rules, not even looking at any of the other rules that's in 240. He's trying to say that King James is saying you're protecting a number 14 with a 20 amp breaker. That is not correct. And, that's fine. You can do that. You can try to twist anything you want. But King James knows his code and he knows he's been teaching it for a long time. And he knows that you can go out there with a 20 amp breaker, number 12, hit wherever point in the circuit, and then branch off and tap off with a smaller conductor. And that's perfectly code fine. Your circuit is protected to your outlet, Jeremy, with number 12 to a 20 amp breaker. And then from there out, then that's when you branch out. And you can tap out
Yep.
like that. There's diversity in circuits. There's load diversity. There's all kinds of stuff that King James has tried to bring to your attention that's in the code. You don't want to look at that. You just want to say one specific code and say 240.4. You guys are wrong. And it's like, okay, well, guess what? There's more areas of the code that you need to look at before you make that disclaimer. Is it less than 10% of the run? That you have a 100-foot run of you have a 20 amp circuit with number 12 going 100 foot, and then you have a 10-foot tap with number 14 and a 10-foot tap with number 14 and a 10-foot tap with number 14. That's 100% okay. And I believe that's in 310 that says the 10% rule, but you don't have to derate if you're at a 10% rule because that circuit is going to act as a heat sink because it's so long because it's that 100 foot. All the heat's going to be dispersed over that 100 foot. That 10% of extra heating is not going to impact the circuit. So that's where King James talks about look at the code as a whole. And a lot of you guys that's out there studying for your journeymans and stuff, like pay attention to a lot of these different rules because they're trying to make sure that you know these when you're going to take your exam. And Jeremy's like, oh, nope, nope, nope. You got to just look at this one thing. And I don't know how anybody passes in Weedman's classes because obviously, not the
I,
greatest.
all I can say about this is I've asked him to give me a piece of electrical equipment that has an outlet. He ain't done that. I ask all these little things, and he actually when I was on his podcast, he tried to use a lighting fixture that had a whip on. And I said, "Oh, wait a minute, Jeremy, you told me that NEC overrides that." And but see, that goes back to what I've been trying to tell everybody. Anybody that's watched this podcast for a long time, you've heard this argument going over and over and over. And I'll just put it this way. Somebody that's going to come on somebody else's podcast and keep arguing the same thing over and over, he's losing the argument.
True.
That's just
I mean, the thing is, there was a lot of hurt feelings with that whole 625 54B because they basically copy and pasted 210.8 like a whole bunch of text from 210.8 and put it over in 625 and and then they called it 625 54B and permanently installed outlets and all this stuff. And it was so funny because when it got rejected and the Standards Council was like, really, all we have to do is put it back to the original language. Like, to me, I loved it because I kind of put them in a box. I knew they were going to have to go one way or the other. They couldn't just pick a safe zone. They're either going to have to go for it or they're going to have to reject it. Mm-hmm. And if they reject it, then they're rejecting 210.8F as well. So I think they realized it and they're like, oh, we can't reject 210.8F. We got to go full bore on this. And they were just full speed ahead. We're going to jump the land like with our yacht, or whatever. I was like, all right, go for it. And I think it's going to crash, but it crashed.
What happens is you got people on code making panel 2 going over to talk to them and trying to give their opinion on everything, and you get certain people on there, they're confused. What's going on here? And it's just like Dad having to take over the hash location, get it all done. They got people on there didn't know what they were doing, and Jeremy, he's told me before, oh, they're qualified. No, they're not. I know people have been on the code making panels that had told me herself. They put me on this code making panel. I don't know anything about it. But and Dad being a chairman, he actually said and told me before that he's had people come up to him. I sort of agree with y'all, but I was told to vote this way.
So I'm going to walk everyone through this whole thing and how embarrassing this must have been. So this whole thing, it passed all the way through first draft, second draft, all the way into the Knitman process. King James called me. I was on my way home from work. And he's like, dude, there's this public input that passed, and it's crazy, man. All they did was add outlets. I was like, dude, that sounds like mine, dude. I was like, what? It passed? And he's like, yeah. Like, so every single one of my public inputs so far, I haven't had a single one pass. I made them to be rejected. And so all of a sudden, this one passes, and I'm floored because I'm like, how did it pass? And then we start looking at it and everything, and it's like, oh, yeah, they're going to add all this stuff. And it was crazy because they basically paralleled 210.8 and put it in 625, and just, it was crazy. It was like, whoa. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, it was total overreach if you ask me, But the whole thing was, next thing you know, it passes all the way through to the Knitman, and there was 11 certified amending motions against my public input, and all 11 were rejected, like almost unanimously.
They were too.
And so here's this minority of people that are representing EV, and they're like, this can't pass, this can't pass, this can't pass, this can't pass. And next thing you know, they get rejected. They all get silenced. Like, they were the overwhelming minority in there, which is not supposed to happen in the code making process. So, that right there, they had like 12 Siemens people up there voting yay, and then you have one EV person like no, and they get shuttled over. So next thing you know, what do? They go and they appeal to the Standards Council, bring a transcript of our podcast, and get it the appeal upheld because I submitted it as a joke, and I was right.
Funny about that also, and you'll clarify this. I forget his name, but he was going, yeah, we ain't gonna win this. And who was the one when you were telling me everything's going? I said, watch, this is what's going to happen. And
so
who was right?
So we had Bryce Nesbitt on here. Bryce Nesbitt was trying as hard as he could to like try to get rid of 210.8F, and like Bryce Nesbitt's like, dude, he goes, this is like ridiculous, like this is so ridiculous, and he was just blown away. And it was funny. I'll never forget. I think I showed you the video where he's like carrying around a receptacle, and he's like, this is an outlet. And it was funny, like, and he went up to like Ryan Jackson and Tommy D and Knee Hot and all them, and they're just like, what? And he's just like carrying around an outlet, and he's like, yeah, this is an outlet. And he's like, I got an outlet right here. Like, they were just like, dude, you're a whack job, bro. Like, we already got that passed or what. It was so funny. Like, I just, like, and Ryan got all mad and left, and like, yeah, I just thought it was hilarious that, you know, there's just more people than just us. Like, they say, oh man, it's only you two that's doing it. And it's like, yeah, there's more people than us that's against this expansion. So to me, the thing that was so funny was the Standards Council said all the voting members of NFPA. So that's not just code making panel 2. That's not just code making panel 12. That's not just code making panel 5. That's all the voting members that voted against the certified amending motions, all of them that rejected all the certified amending motions. They failed to show technical merit to merit a change in 625 to add all that, and they upheld the appeal and they sent it back to the original language, which I agree with. I think it's true. Like, the receptacle needs GFCI protection. Who cares if it has an outlet or connects to an outlet? Who cares about the outlet? And that was my whole point about doing it. And I told you, I was like, dude, I'm going to put them in a box. They're going to have to pick something. They're going to have to pick this way or this way. And the way they picked was probably not in their favor, you know, but I thought it was pretty fun to do. And like I say, you know, Ryan makes it, I'll have to get the audio up here, but he's like, the code did not change, so he can't cover it in his code change thing because it didn't change, you know. But like, I think that's more what he was mad about, that he couldn't cover it on a code change, you know, when it's like the whole thing. Like, now all of a sudden, all these guys are, oh yeah, we didn't want GFCI protection on all EBSE. That'd be horrible. Well, but it's okay on AC. Just, I don't know. It's ridiculous, but. I think we should probably move into the myth of the week, and I think you guys will be blown away this week at really the truth of this whole thing.
All right, let's roll it.
It's time for Myth of the Week.
Oh, I really love posting these in the electrical code discussion for Awesome Electricians group. Really awesome graphic over there to the left. Myth of the Week coming at you every week. It's so much fun, and it's crazy because originally when I first started doing these Myth of the Weeks, I was telling King James, I was like, dude, I don't know if I could do this for like a whole year. Well, we're already going on 5 years, and you know, we're still doing it. We're still coming up with more. And this one's really interesting because, you know, a panel board or a load center cannot be installed under the 2026 NEC in a bathroom. You just can't do it. But let's just say, for example, that this was installed in 1993 and they had working clearance and everything. And now, how are you going to be the AHJ that rejects this and forces them to move the load center / panel board? To me, I think it's really interesting because I put myself in the situation of the AHJ. I think I would have to go to other lengths. So all of a sudden you buy this house and, home inspector's like, well, there's a panel board that's right over the tub. Are you guys okay with that? Well, I mean, what if they did not remodel more than 50% of this property? I would have a hard time as an AHJ telling them it needs a move. I don't know what language I could come up with. I don't know what I could do. I think I would need to let it fly and move on to a different party because this has went through so many cycles. It's went through, as many times as since I first started on my teaching business, you know, as a first year apprentice, but like Daniel knows that I started my teaching business in 93, but it's the whole thing, and everyone knows I'm just joking, but I didn't start my teaching business till like 95. No, but I'm just kidding. I didn't start a teaching business, but anyway, to me it just blows me away because of just how glaring, like when these electricians look at this, they're like fail, 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 and it's like, all right, what reference? You have a sticker sitting right there on the inside of the cover said pass 1993. How do you overrule that? And when did the tub get put in, and who signed off on the permit for the tub? Like, there's so many other things that go into this that's not just National Electric Code. So to me, honestly, it was like all these people were like, who are you trying to kill and all this, like, oh, why'd you install it there and all this stuff? And it's like, dude, like all these people just see a picture and all they do is just think of all the negativity of it, and they don't think of, we're trying to open your eyes to the actual code. And how do you force someone to change their electrical service to something different? How much work is it going to take? Like, that stuff should have been addressed many, many years prior to this coming to be an issue, in my opinion. But to me, honestly, I know that your eyes kind of lit up when I was talking about this, as far as like, you're like, yeah, you could go look that there's not working space clearance. It's overcurrent device in over a tub. You could look at all this, David Englehart's over here. He's examining plans right now, and, he's not gonna, yeah. And that's what we're trying to say, David, is we're like trying to say, as the HJ, how are you gonna force this? Like, as you're coming into a situation, and to me, honestly, I think you'd have to prove that they remodeled more than 50% of the property. They did more than 50% work, and then I think you could, as an HJ, say, no, that panel needs to move, because you have to bring this whole entire property up to the current code. So I don't know, James. To me, honestly, I don't think this is like a easy myth. Like, everyone's like, oh yeah, you just got to move it. Okay, but what's the legal part that we go through on this? Because if it's passed in 93, who gives the legal precedent to say it has to move?
Well, that's where you would have problems getting them to do it. Well, let me put it this way. It could be one. There's a couple of ways I look at this. Okay.
And David wants clarification on that 50% thing that we've talked about this before, David.
Well, some of them have taken and used sort of the basis of like what OSHA does, the jurisdiction does, and they'll write it in their city bylaws and stuff when people are coming in doing work like that. Let me give you an example. If you go back and you look at March 15th, 1972, that is a date, and go over and look at OSHA 1910.302, get started over looking at all these dates. they basically said anything that was installed before that time was installed up to, or is basically grandfathered in. So then you had a time space there of March 15th, 1972 to April 16, 1981. And they basically come in and said, if you come in and you do 50% or more remodel to the business or to the facility, and mainly this was applied to commercial industrial. It really didn't apply to residential, but a lot of jurisdictions that were aware of this rule that OSHA had in place, they applied the same logic. And they said if you did 50% or more, you brought it up to the current code. And anything after 1981, then it was up to whatever code was at that point. Now, when you look at this here, let's just say this was installed that way, okay? And I'm looking at this picture and I'm saying, okay, we'll just hypothetically say that this was installed in 1993. Okay, I'm just saying that's the year it was installed.
Well, there just so happens to be nothing in the code that says, oh, recurrent devices can't be installed in a bathroom, but they would still need to have working clearance.
Well, at that time, yeah.
Yeah.
Now it does. And
we're saying that this would actually be installed in a bathroom without that tub there with working clearance. Well, and it's legal.
I'm going to show a couple of things here in a little bit, but I just want to explain some stuff here. So they come in, somebody comes in, sees the house. So say an inspector come in and there was nothing being inspected. He's just a friend. He comes in and sees that. There ain't a damn thing he can do about it because it's already passed. It's in. That's just the way it is. Now, what may happen at this point, let's say the guy sells a house and then they hire a guy to come in and he's a home inspector. And he goes, oh, no, you can't do this. Now, what'll happen is he's probably going to have a problem because this is going to get into insurance purposes and stuff.
Yeah.
House.
True.
And that's where you get into a problem. And in order for him to sell this house, he's probably going to have to redo all of this.
Well, okay, yeah, or he's going to lose a value. He's going to lose a value as equity.
Sure. And that's what I would look at this point. But as far as it had already been passed and inspected, I can tell you'll have hell in court going and telling them they're going to have to remove it because they're going to say, did y'all pass this? And they're going to have on record there, yeah, this was passed. You can't fight that after the fact. That's just not going to happen. I agree with all the safety reasons. I'm just telling you how things happen as it relates law. Now,
true.
When you look at this is in the 2026, and the only thing that you get into when you're actually looking at the panel board enclosures and stuff, and also your overcurrent protection devices, it's all going to refer you back to 312.4, and it's just going to tell you that the enclosures for those overcurrent protection devices, they have to be in damp or wet. If they're in damp or wet locations, guess what? The enclosure has to be designed that way. Okay. Now, somebody look at it and go, oh, looky there, I can put a panel board in there. No, because then, well, let me finish this. So then you look at 312.4, and this is where you get your weatherproof enclosures and everything. Okay.
True.
So I took it over at 312.4A. Now,
so 312 is cabinets. So like all you guys that are like studying for your tests and stuff, pay attention to the front section because that's where you're going to look for like these questions. Like a lot of guys ask me, how do you know where to find these questions? It's like you look at that first section and 312 cabinets, 314 enclosures. So that's really good, King James.
Yeah. And when you get in and you start looking at it, the next thing you have to concern yourself with is making sure that you have the working clearances around that panel board. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and this is the same information that we used last week when we were talking about a clothes closet. All right. Now,
I mean, you could make the argument that there's a MDP on this property, and that equipment is not likely to be worked on while energized.
yeah, but still.
I don't know. You make the argument, or you can just move the bathroom. Daniel wants to just move the bathroom to another room.
I mean, it's interesting because we had a lot of houses that had a lot of funky stuff here in the Fort Worth area, and plus they all were wired with knob and tube. And I was trying to remember, I think they had it at 30%, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh, that's really good, David. That's a good point.
Yeah.
IBC, because that's what we go off of is IBC now. So that could have been like a UBC requirement, and now IBC could be different. But I think the 50% rule is pretty legit. Like I haven't seen anything go below or to me, honestly, David, what we're basically presenting is all they did was just add a tub and bury the panel, not knowing anything. If they would have remodeled the whole bathroom and the whole house and stuff, then obviously they'd have to pull permit and the inspector would catch it, be like, "Nah, dude, you got to move this." But
it wouldn't have been allowed. But where you get into where that is not permitted is the overcurrent protection devices. And that's where they tell you that they're not permitted to be located in bathrooms, showering facilities, or locker rooms with showering facilities. Okay. And, but they put an exception there. And what does it say? Overcurrent protection devices shall be permitted to be installed in existing panel boards that were installed in compliance with previous editions of the code that permitted the overcurrent protection devices to be installed in bathrooms.
Yeah, and David makes a good point that he wonders if code ever permitted a panel to be installed in an overhead kitchen cabinet. I would say if it's an overhead kitchen cabinet that's less than 6'7", like the 6'7" thing goes back a ways. Like
well,
I remember.
The only reason they wouldn't been able to do that is because they wouldn't have had the clearances.
Well, yeah, and you have that clearance that we've actually. I think we done that where we had panel boards that were inside cabinets and they had too much.
Yeah, well,
distance.
you got to look. There was a reason. Remember when it first come out, and you were looking at the panel boards, and this is actually a pretty good discussion right here, because this is something I want to bring up also that will give you something to think about. But when they got in and you started looking at the depth of the equipment, and when you had the depth of the equipment, remember they started looking at the different equipment where you would have like a wireway underneath it, and you could have a transformer and things like that above or below where the panel board was. And what they did, they got into the height of the working space, and I think it's now 110.26A3 if I'm not mistaken. But when you go over there and look at that, they told you that it's not permitted to extend more than what?
6 inches.
Yeah. So that's something you think about too. So that's
that would be my reason right off the top of my head, David, is that if that panel board was installed in that cabinet and there was more than 6 inches extending, that's not necessarily grounded material, but it's inhibiting the working space.
Yeah. And so that's why I wanted you to think of that. But the most important part here is if you look at that exception, they're telling you that they did it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. They did it. I mean, The
Yeah.
whole thing was like,
And
like
I saw a couple of comments. I go, you never could do this. I'm like, you might want to go and look at the 2026 here and look at exception. They're even saying, yeah, they did that.
well, and I've even been caught off guard by King James because I'm like, nothing in the code says anything about this. And I think we were talking about backstab receptacles, like backstab receptacles versus their screws. And I think in all, I'm gonna claim victory on that one because I want to say I was right because nowhere in the code does it say the difference between backstab versus screws. It just says when you have backstab only.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that I'm not really claiming victory. I'm just saying that I didn't see anywhere in the code where it would direct you that you would have to use the screws versus the backstab.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of my point with the whole thing because what do you go off of? Manufacturer instructions. Like it's funny, like we're sitting there, we're like 30 foot up in the air, and I was like, hey man, is that a code violation? He's like, oh, I don't know. I was like, well, go look up the manufacturer instructions because I'm pretty sure it is. But the thing is that's what's cool about it is like, hey, I'm not a fire alarm guy. I don't know fire alarm code. Well, yeah, you do because you just go look at the brand and then look at the manufacturer instructions, see what the spread pattern is, and I can guarantee you if it's 30 foot up in the air, it's a code violation. You
Yeah.
know, it's only visible. I think it was 26 foot, if I remember correct. But the thing is, like, I know this is like at least 25 foot.
Mm-hmm.
And they give you like a thing in NFPA 72 where they say your devices can be as high as 30 foot, but they have to be visible. So
Mm-hmm.
if there's any kind of impedance or anything, you have to drop them down. And they're just like, oh, we don't care about that. We don't care about code, whatever. But the thing is, nobody cares about code until you come on this show and we start giving it to you. And that's the whole reason why I wanted to do Myth of the Week. That's the whole reason I reached out to King James to bring up these awesome slides and show you guys really how to interpret the code the correct way, not just take one section and think that you know everything. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what's so awesome about David Englehart. And yeah, like it, it's 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 weird that what did Daniel say? Oh, Daniel says
Move the bathroom.
yeah, and that's it too, David, is it's really hard to like enforce an opinion. Like in me, honestly, if you were like, hey, I put a panel board in a kitchen cabinet, I'd be like, if you met all the conditions of 11026 A3, cool, do it. But at the same time, it's like to me, I see it maybe possibly exceeding 6'7". I see it possibly being more of a depth requirement that you're further depth back. And I might even do some research on that and 11026, you know, and see if possibly there was some exception way further back. Like to me, it was really cool to go back to 93. That was the first code book I ever opened.
I've
I
actually,
remember seeing it on my one of the guys' dashboard, and I was like, "Hey, I want to read this," and he's like, "All right." And dude, I was lost. I was lost. Didn't even know what I was doing. And
I
then
will,
next thing you know, I come back a couple years later, and I start reading the 96. And I'm like, man, I was like, I think I can do this. And then next thing you know, I come back a couple years later, start reading the 99. Next thing you know, I go take my journeyman's test and I pass, and I'm a journeyman. So, I'm a journeyman under the 99. But I mean, it was 6 years later, and the thing was, I thought just because I passed the test, I was an expert. Nope. You gotta really study, and you gotta really buckle down, and you gotta just try to keep pushing everybody's limit. You know.
Well, I'll tell you, I did this, went out and inspected this house, and it was a little over 18,000 square foot. And I actually went out to look at the grounding and everything and making sure they had it right. It was another contract worker, and he wanted me to come out and look at it. And it was out in the county, that's why. And
Okay.
they had put an electrical room. It was on a big farm, and this guy had a building that, or just say it's a building, steel building, and he had a wood workshop, and he had another building that he did nothing if they needed to do any type of steel work that was in there, and then he had another one where his workout facility and stuff was like his little own area man cave, basically is what it was. It was cool looking.
Right.
But
Oh yeah.
when they came in, they actually had an electrical room, and they had a basement. I think the basement was probably like, I bet it was 4,000 square foot.
Wow.
I mean, it was huge, and all their electrical, plumbing, everything. They had a room that was electrical, and then it was divided. Then they had where all their plumbing come in and everything, so they could keep all their systems. And they actually drew the water up from the wells that they had, and everything was brought in there, and all the water and everything was circulated and made drinkable and all that. So, I mean, they really had a hell of a setup, and it had all these filters and everything. It went through its process. And then the electrical room, they wanted everything looking aesthetic. So they had 800 amps coming to this thing. And
Wow.
they had 4 of these cabinet enclosures, and these cabinet enclosures, I mean, it just looked real nice, and they probably extend about an inch from the front of the panel board. They were stained, everything looked real nice. They had when you wanted to work on them, it wasn't a door to open. You actually just sort of pulled it and pulled the whole thing off, and then you just set it down beside it, and then they would work on those panel boards if they need to get access and everything. And I was looking at it, and I was like, I never seen anybody do something like that before. He goes, yeah, the owner wanted to be aesthetically pleasing and all that. He didn't want everybody knowing. And they actually took they had like a false wall, so to speak. It was just enough to where it came out, and you probably had about, I'd say you probably had about an inch and a half, where they built this wall that covered all the piping and everything, and you could pull it off too. So the whole wall looked like a wooden aesthetic wall, and they could pull it off to get access to everything. And he goes, is that okay? I said, I looked at it, I go, well, yeah, you got all your clearance requirements. I said, you're not more than 6 inches. I said, hell, I think it looks fine. But
yeah, and David makes a good point that you can't just take like a reference. Like I probably shouldn't just say 110/26A and go back through the cycles, because in the previous, like say 99, it could have been 110/16.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know that, but that's good advice there, David. I appreciate it.
Oh, sure. And what he's saying is exactly correct.
Yep. 100%. Well, we busted this myth. To me, honestly, I just think that it goes to show that inspectors going and pushing their weight around are not necessarily like God. They're not necessarily just going to be able to just go in there and be like, I want this panel moved. This is a dangerous thing. That, like, yeah, obviously, if I'm the AHJ, that's what I'm saying. Put myself in that shoe. And you probably did yourself. It's like, what are you gonna really do as the HJ to get this guy to have to move his panel?
I'll
If
tell
he
you what
wants
I did.
to,
I'll tell you how you handle it. I actually ran into this. I tell you exactly how to handle it.
okay,
I took and I did the inspection, and I made a note to the home, let the homeowner know, and I wrote it in my thing. This house is an existing one. There's a panel board in the bathroom. I've made the owner aware that this is a hazard, and he said he understands. It's been grandfathered in. They're not changing it, and so it was. As far as I'm concerned, is grandfathered in. I talked to the director of community development. His name was Tom Hardy at the time, and I told him what I saw, and he goes, "Yep." He goes, "We got quite a few houses like that." He goes, "That's smart to make a note about it. That way, they know we have looked at it and made them aware of the hazard there to protect the city that way."
yeah, and they don't want to change it. They want it that way, and
Well, then
to
we'll spend
me,
that money. That that costs some money
dude,
to do that.
that panel would be moved so fast if that was my house. Like it's like nah, like it's not that hard. To me, like oh yeah, but the only problem is, so let's just say this hypothetically. Let's just say I took that load center, panel board, whatever you call it, and I flipped it around to the exterior of the building, made it a junction box, and then put my panel out there. Now I'd have a whole bunch of outlets out there. Now I'd have to have GFCI protection. So, I mean, you just gotta really kind of watch what you wish for, I guess. I mean, I don't want to have a whole bunch of outdoor outlets out there now all of a sudden because now my overcurrent device is moved from the bathroom to my new service location. Now you have a whole bunch of points on the wiring system where the premises wiring meets the
Well,
outdoor outlets and all that, and it's just like
I
I
tell
just
you, when I was a second year apprentice, I bought this house, and it was older house. It's a good neighborhood. It just hadn't been taken care of, and I spent the next 2 years. I went in, I stripped the whole thing
I
out.
100% agree with that, David. That's a really good comment, and that's exactly what point we're trying to make
Yep.
is that this is technically grandfathered in because we don't know when they installed the tub. It could have had working clearance. Everything could have been passing inspection. So how do you override that as the AHJ? That's kind of my point.
Well, this house that I bought, it had knob and tube in it and everything. I literally took everything out, and I went in and I replaced some of the wood and everything, got it structurally even more sound. Then I went up and I redecked the roof, put all the roof material in and everything. I made the house solid. And then I had another. There was on the back of the property. They had a 2-story thing there that they were renting out. And I went in. I say they were renting it out. The top portion was storage, and it was like a little place for like the grandmother to stay in, or the mom. So
Yeah.
uh, I got the first one done, and when I started on it, the panel board was actually in the kitchen, and I took all of that out, and I actually added on to it. It almost took me 3 years, I think back, because I was turned out, and I was making pretty good money then, and I went in, I did everything in that, just about that I could do, and when I got over to that other one, that panel board was in a little small closet. There was no working space or anything in there, and the bar was right in front of here's the panel board here. That bar was just a little ways down, right in front, about eye level, right in front of the panel board. And I was like, well,
Wow.
that's not going to stay. So
Yeah.
I made a little suite there, and then I took the top portion because they were using it for storage, and I just made 2 little rental units there, and those suckers got rented just like that. But that took me another 2 years to get that done. But
Nice.
that was my first experience of running into those panel boards, and I called Dad over there. He goes, "Yeah," he goes, "You don't want that." So, it's funny because that was a garage over there, and they took and made it into suite level, everything out. So, I just come around where you come around the backside, and that's where I added the garage to my house. So it was interesting,
Yeah.
You think
And
about what you did.
it's really
when you were
awesome.
young.
It's really awesome to have David jump in, and he's replaced some knob and tube stuff, and
Yeah.
like, dude, it's crazy that they like these places, like I just cannot believe. That's what blows me away so much, David, is that they just ignore so many different things. Like, oh yeah, it's got knob and tube. Oh, you're an electrician, you could fix that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, well, yeah, I am, but I'm not gonna pay that much, and so it means a lot that we have guys like me, you, David, out there that have experienced this, that we know the best way to do it. Like,
Yeah.
if it's not a big hazard, just ignore it. But I mean, there's so many things, like all these code guys, like, you got Weed Man over there trying to, pound a bottle and think that he's going to be some kind of a, keyboard warrior and everything. But then, he comes up and says, oh, well, what specific piece of equipment do you have to install? And like, the outlet is where the premises wiring meets the equipment. Okay. Well, then how come we went and showed you that the premises wiring doesn't even come close to the EV? How do
Mm-hmm.
you still push that same thing in there? Oh, yeah, 210.8F still applies. How? You
Yeah.
know?
I,
And yeah, dude, and that's true, Dave. That's true, Daniel. That he's seen that before. Where you know they just put the freaking penny in there and bypass the fuse. And it's they used to be able to do that. You used to be able to just, oh well, we blew the fuse and then just throw a penny in there and put it back in, and then it's good for life. And so there's a reason for the fuse, and fuses are a really good thing. Fuses are really our friend. Like, fuse is the best way to protect a circuit. So,
mm-hmm.
like, that's the reason why bypassing them is really not smart. Because if that fuse is operating and that fuse is opening the circuit, there's something wrong with the circuit. You shouldn't be bypassing those.
Yep. I agree.
So, all right, you ready for your topic?
Golly, it's already 8:30, dude. I don't know if we're gonna have time to do that tonight.
All right.
We'll be 2.5 hours tonight because I got quite a few on there.
Okay.
So yeah, because I was planning on getting through 3 tonight, and there's
Dude, you chose to argue with Jeremy. I didn't choose to argue with Jeremy. I was ready to just go onto my thing and just mind my own business, but you want to argue. But he was calling us both idiots, so I can't really say anything.
we'll get it next week. All right, let's do a tool review.
Sounds good.
It's time for Tool Review of the Week. Sponsored by Electricians Only Tool Review and Nipex Tradesman.
All right, so I figured out what I'm going to do. I'm going to put together a pool with all the guys at work, and we're all going to chip in, and we're going to buy one of these. And It's a 20 volt. It's an 18 volt / 20 volt DeWalt evap swamp cooler. So it's a job site swamp cooler. Dude, like when I saw this, I was like, oh, we're doing it. I've been trying to kind of keep a topic about job site cooling, and in the years that I've been doing it, my job sites have been cooler. And it's not just because I'm so cool, it's because I have a cool tool like this with the DeWalt name on it, and it's blowing out cold air all day. So to me, honestly, this blew me away. I'm gonna figure out how to try to buy this thing. Um, to me, I couldn't believe it even existed. But like I have some really nice DeWalt batteries that could probably power this baby all day. I don't know, honestly, if it makes the job site cool, I'm getting it. So to me, honestly, this is probably the coolest product. No pun intended. This is probably one of the coolest products I've seen out there, and I want one. I want one for the job site. I mean, I'd probably even bring it to my house and cool down my house with it real quick. Like it sounds like it's throwing down some BTUs, and yeah, David. I really appreciate you coming in, just kind of ignoring some of that stuff. Weed Man, he has a tendency, he's not very good at regulating his alcohol consumption. And so he kind of comes on here and gets a little nasty, and I appreciate you kind of hanging tough. We're a totally inclusive podcast. We allow anyone to come on here, express their opinion, and we appreciate you hanging tough. And hopefully you have a blessed night there, David. But the one thing I do want to say about this is just the fact that it's portable and it's only in its battery power. To me, that's awesome because you could use it pretty much everywhere. And so I haven't really used it or investigated into it much, but it seems like a really awesome product to cool your job site off. So my advice is go get a couple of these this weekend and put them out there and let them burn, man. Let them burn. Get all your apprentices to charge up all their DeWalt batteries and see how long they can go on. I think they could go at least all day on a full charge, but we'll see. It was funny. I asked my apprentice one day, I was like, how long have I been going on this DeWalt? How long have I been going? I think I had to charge my battery like one time in 6 months. And I was like, how long have I been going on this? He's like, I can't remember. I was like, you can't even remember this morning, but it was really funny. But awesome tool. To me, honestly, I recommend. I think they're around $230. Not too bad for a pretty. Looks like a good size job site cooler. So throw that baby down and let her have it. So
Well,
yeah, and thanks, David. Yeah, I really want. I want to go get one, and I want to throw it down. I mean, I want to put it in like a room that I'm working and just, cool off that whole room, and then just everyone would be jealous, go get one. The next thing you know, the whole job would just be as cool as me, so we'll see. But to me, honestly, my tool review is based on, I have not used this yet, but it just came out and I'm going to be using it. So anything to make the job site cooler, that's what I'm all about.
That's not the first one you've done. I hadn't used that yet, but I'm getting this.
Yeah. Dude, you should see my tool pouch, dude. It's totally full of my tool reviews, man. Everyone's like, dude, where'd you get that? I was like, oh, tool review.
That's funny.
Yeah. But so you think you got what it takes to take down the machine this week?
Well, let's see. Let me go over here and get it going. Let's see. General Lee, baby.
For years, man tried to create artificial intelligence. On this segment, we find out Is AI smarter than King James?
All right, let's see what you got this week. Let's see here. Direct bearing emergence for grade should be closures or raceway extended grade finish grade.
This one's easy.
Well, you made it a little easier for me because I know you don't want to have it where people can grab hold of it because it is a limited energy cable. So
True.
48 is going to be too low. So I'm going to go 8 foot to 96 inches. And the only reason I'm not 100% sure on this one, but I'm going 96 because I don't think they want anybody to be able to grab hold of it.
But with class 1, isn't it 18 inches?
Yeah, but this is in Article 722. I don't remember the exact section that it's in, but it's going to be in the underground.
Oh, David, we got David. Oh man, we dragged him in. Don't get him started with AI. So, what we're gonna do, David? We're gonna see how AI answers. We're gonna see if we're trying to fool AI on this, but I don't know. I think AI is watching right now. AI already answered it. I think King James took too long to actually send it over to AI.
Well,
AI already got the answer right now. Since we blew it. We had to just go faster.
yeah, because they've got different things. Because when you're looking at class 1, you're looking at Article 724, limited energy.
Right.
You're in 722. They made a whole bunch of changes on this.
True.
And I think we even showed this in one of our illustrations.
I forgot to put the code cycle, but it was 2026.
Yeah. Well, I think, okay. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and let's ask ChatGPT and see what it comes up with. All right.
It might actually been better to not put the code cycle in there for ChatGPT because it might get confused. We'll see.
Well,
Ben,
I did the wrong one there. Sorry about that.
oh, just trying to bring us over to your. No.
Well, yeah, this I wasn't going to bring this, but this is the new website that's going to have some cool stuff in it and everything. So,
Oh, David's going with 18 inches. So, man, you guys are pretty far apart. We got 18 inches and we have 8 feet. So let's see what ChatGPT says because that's going to be interesting. I want to see what AI says. I used to, every time I would go and I would ask ChatGPT and it would get it wrong and then it would get it right on the show. And then I'm like, dang it, I need to quit tipping it off. So I haven't been asking it because I think it got the connection. And I was like, oh man, I got to surprise it on the show. But all right, David. So what we're going to do is King James is going to post the question to ChatGPT. We're going to see what ChatGPT's answer is, and then we're going to go and link and actually see what the answer actually is.
Yeah, I grabbed the wrong screen. Okay, there we go. Now I got it. Okay, that was my bad. I actually grabbed the wrong one. All right, so let's ask ChatGPT and see just exactly what it says the answer is. All right, here we go.
It's got a pretty extensive database.
It's 8. It says 18 inches below finished grade, but it's 8 foot emerging from grade is what it's saying. So it went with 96 inches too. So
okay,
let me go over. Give me a minute. I forgot to open this up. So let me go over here and open up.
I don't even know what the right answer is. I just like write it down and we'll see.
Oh, give me a second. All right. Wow.
So now we're gonna go over to Link and see what Link says. I want to say, would that be in 707?
Okay, I was wrong on the article. I said 722, which is limited energy cables for power limited circuits and stuff. Okay.
Right.
So it's actually Article 720 that deals with limited energy system wiring methods and materials.
Yes, sir.
And you come over and you pick up 720.5D. 5D says it is 96 inches.
And it looks like ChatGPT ChatGPT didn't even give a code section.
No, I'm gonna tell it that.
Yeah. But I think that was the point of why we wanted to do this man versus machine. And yeah, David's going 18 inches. David is wrong, and I'll go put in here. The answer is 8 foot. Or was it D?
Sure.
But it's so much fun to do that, and like when we first started doing it, ChatGPT got almost every single one wrong.
Yeah, now it's starting to get everything right.
Yeah, so it's really cool that we're teaching it, and then it's really digging on old King James over there, giving it the old lessons.
Well, one of the things that really helped a lot is as we've been doing this, we've been asking it to put it in the master log.
Yeah.
And I've been keeping a log of all of this as we've been doing it. And that's one reason I think also that ChatGPT has gotten smarter.
So what are we going to roll the Willie Quiz?
Yep, Willie Quiz it is. Here we go.
So I think you missed the question a little bit, David, because it's not 8 foot deep. It's 8 foot emerging from grade. So 8 foot exposed emerging from grade. It's not deep.
Yeah.
Like, so 18 inches is a good one, but what we're talking about is it must be protected from damage where emerging from grade. And the reason I use 18 inches is because if like I have a direct buried cable, I have to protect that direct buried cable within 18 inches of it emerging from grade. But now all of a sudden, if it's a limited energy cable, I have to protect it all the way to 8 foot.
Yeah.
So that was the whole point of it, and it was pretty good. Thought I was gonna get King James, but I didn't. So here we go. Question number 1. Which of the following NBA Finals Game 5 performances is the highest scoring Game 5 in Finals history? Was it A, Michael Jordan, 1998? Was it B, Magic Johnson, 1980? Was it C, Jerry West, 1969? Was it D, LeBron James, 2016? Or was it E, Elgin Baylor, 1962? Good luck, everyone.
Oh God, I have no freaking clue. I mean that's a hard one. God, I remember one about MJ, and he had one big game. I don't know if it's game 5 or it's game 6. And golly, those are all good players. I'm never gonna guess anything with LeBron James, though.
What? No. Oh
No,
man.
he's not the greatest Michael Jordan is.
Yeah.
Oh, golly, I know you wanted me. Uh, I will go with Michael Jordan. I have no idea.
All right. So Daniel is going out of the box and picking E. Elgin Baylor. So I don't even know who that is.
I
I don't
don't.
know.
I
Pretty
didn't
risky, Daniel. Pretty risky. But I don't know. You're going up against the greatest of all time. Daniel gets the first correct answer. It was Elgin Baylor with 62 points, I believe. It was 62, 64 points, and it was crazy because Michael Jordan, I think, was like 50 or something or 40 something. So it was close, but it was
Yeah, I
like
remember him having a big game, but I
I
just
think it was like I think he was like third or fourth or something. But the second was the other guy West on there. All
I'll go
right,
split with him.
so a team trailing 3-1 in the NBA Finals has successfully forced Game 7 how many times? A, 2, B, 3, C, 4, D, 5, or E, 6? Good luck, everyone.
Man, I have no freaking clue. A dream to, I
So
guess.
this is all the times of the NBA Finals, like all the way in history, you know? I think
Uh,
that makes it harder a little bit, maybe a little harder.
I'd say it probably. God, if you're down 3-1, that's hard to do. I'll go all time. I'll say 4.
All right, Daniel is going D, 5. So man, dude, this is gonna probably go down to the wire. We might be using the tiebreaker tonight. The answer is three. Three all
Oh,
time in history have forced a game 7 after trailing 3-1. So that's pretty crazy because now the Spurs are finding themselves trailing 3-1. Just blew
yeah,
a 26-point lead going in the
yeah,
fourth quarter. So
they
that was
sure
pretty rough.
did.
All right, question number 3. Which player recorded a triple double in Game 5 of the 2016 NBA Finals to help his team stay alive? Was it A, Kyrie Irving? Was it B, Kevin Love? Was it C, LeBron James? Was it D, Stephen Curry? Or was it E, Scottie Pippen? Good luck, everyone.
Well, at least I can uh, get E off of there because he wasn't playing then. So, looking at this, triple double, I think I'm trying to think 16. You're looking back and you're thinking about 2016. I'm trying to think of the teams that were in there.
I think the Golden State Warriors were in there.
Now I was thinking. I think is Golden State and wasn't it Cleveland? And so
Might have been.
that would put me thinking about this because I think LeBron James was at Cleveland at the time.
I think you're correct on that.
I'll go C.
All right, so you choose to copy Daniel's answer of C, the second King James. You guys are correct. So Daniel still has the lead going into question number 4. King James starts coming up, so that's what he likes to do. He likes to come from behind and start smashing it down. All right, the famous 1997 NBA Finals Game 5. Which illness-stricken player scored 38 points in what became known as the flu game? Was it A, Karl Malone? Was it B, Scottie Pippen? Was it C, Michael Jordan? Was it D, John Stockton? Or was it E, Julius Erving? Good luck, everyone.
Well, this one, I think I'm pretty sure I know this one because I remember this guy being sick and he played in a finals game. I don't know, it's number 5. I don't even know if it's the right year, but I do remember this particular one. So I think I'll be really guessing at this, but I think the one that was sick that became the flu game, it was Karl Malone, wasn't it?
We will see. Daniel is saying Michael Jordan.
I remember Michael Jordan being sick in 1 too.
Let's see. Daniel gets a correct answer and puts a hefty lead on King James. Oh man, I knew this was gonna be rough on you here tonight, but I was trying to make it easy. All right, question number 5. Prior to 2026, which franchise won the most NBA Final Game 5s in league history? Is it A, San Antonio Spurs, B, Boston Celtics, C, Chicago Bulls, D, Golden State Warriors, or E, Los Angeles Lakers? Good luck, everyone.
Well, this is an interesting one because I'm thinking about how many times a lot of them have been in NBA finals. And if I'm actually looking, it's between Boston and the Lakers.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it said prior to 2026, which I don't think that would have possibly maybe changed anything for San Antonio Spurs, but you never know. I mean, they've had quite a few.
Yeah,
I don't think they had more than the Bulls, though.
No, if I was actually looking at it, the Celtics and Lakers went there a ton. So
Daniel is going B, Celtics.
That's what I was going to go with too. I'll go B.
All right. King James and Daniel tie to go to the tiebreaker. You were both wrong. It is the Los Angeles Lakers, and Daniel takes the win. 2 wins. Oh, man. I cannot believe Daniel took this one. Man, just incredible. I mean, that was a really classy win by Big Dog Daniel, so
Those are all questions. I mean, I guessed at every one of them.
yeah, it was really funny because you have to really watch what you wish for, because you said you didn't want hockey, so then I did NBA, and now all of a sudden, you didn't like that either. So
Yeah, and I actually won the hockey one. Go figure that.
yeah, dude, to me it's so much fun. Like I say, everyone will be watching these at a later time, and they'll be just wishing that they could have been here live to compete with King James and try to guess better. Like I say, you just have to bring that Hillary Clinton coin flip, and you'll get a heads every time. And like King James, he's done it before. He's got some good coin flips. So
yeah,
I'm not trying to say that.
I probably
it was
hit
funny.
like 85% of them.
It was funny because Daniel was like asking me. He's like, "Hey, what's the quiz gonna be on this week?" And I was like, "Dude, I could do monarch butterflies of the Amazon jungle." He'd be like, "You know what? I was over there in Bolivia, and I saw the migration, and there's over 2,600 that day." Like, really, dude? I can't even fool you a lot of times on some of the world history ones and everything.
There was somebody we were at the pool hall and that, and they were just they go, "Would you change anything in your life?" I said, "I wouldn't change a damn thing." I said, I've got to go see so many things and do so many things that people will never ever get to do in their whole lifetime.
Yeah.
I was working, but I stayed a couple extra days and got to see stuff. I was talking to my friend Greg the other night, and he was there. He had somebody over, and they were talking about Alaska, and was that Denali? I think how they say it, the road going up. And I said, "Oh yeah, that goes up to Mount McKinley." He goes, "You've taken that?" I said, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Where have you been in Alaska?" I started telling him. I said, "Hell," I said, "I've been over the overpass going to Fairbanks." And he goes, "Really?" I said, "Oh yeah." And I said, "I've been to Valdez." He goes, "Where's Valdez?" And I told him, I said, "I've skied in Valdez and fished in Valdez." He's like, "Is there not anything you ain't done?" I said, "I hadn't been to Hawaii yet. That's the only place I got to go." So
on the next Willie quiz, it's gonna be Hawaii trivia facts. So I'm gonna try to find something that you don't know, and I'm gonna try to fool you on it. But
okay, well, don't do it on golf courses, okay?
Hawaiian golf courses.
I know about all the golf courses. That's why I want to go.
All right. No, but you're just like such a good sport. It's so much fun doing it, and like I say, it's a total genuine thing. The only way it's rigged is I already went and told Daniel all the answers, so he could beat you tonight. But like I say, that's I owed him one, so like
It's the only way you can do it.
yeah, exactly. So now Daniel's gonna be out in his Toyota doing burnouts down his new driveway. He's gonna be getting those chalk marks all the way down his new driveway. He's got a new. I just went over there. I don't know if I told you, but I've been it's been hard for me to like set everything up in the studio. So I went over to Daniel's new house. We set it all up, and I recorded a whole bunch of stuff. And it was really fun, and went and checked out his new house, and he's got a really nice new house over there. Really, really good neighborhood and everything. Really nice driveway and everything. So now that driveway has just got these nice black marks going down it from, him celebrating the Willie Quiz. Now he's gonna be Willie Quiz champion. So yeah, and that was fun, Daniel. A good time, and I put it up. He's gonna have to figure out how to go listen to it now on Spotify because I posted it up there. So just a cool little song I did, like the guitar. I did the guitar part, bass, and stuff, and it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. It really makes it when you're able to play your music loud. You know, like I don't really play my music loud where I'm at. So yeah, so yeah, dude. Dude, you'll definitely have to check it out, man. Um, it's definitely pretty awesome. So yeah, I just did it as like a backing track, but yeah, like it's just like nonstop with me. Always just trying to do new stuff, trying to push the limits of the podcast. But I think we got one left, don't we? The Wall of Shame, getting
That's
close to
it.
two.
Let's roll it.
Shame. 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 Shame.
Yeah, it was really funny. I brought over my Dark Shadow cabinet. It's a 212 cabinet,
Mm-hmm.
and hooked it up over Daniel's, and it just instantly just shredded his neighborhood. It was pretty awesome. Um, yeah, that's some pretty cool custom stuff there. That's like when you absolutely cannot lower that box. But
I
man,
like
I,
how
I
they
would have
cut
went
the
to at
plate to
least
fit
one.
on there.
I would have went like. Then this is one of the reasons why we go horizontal on these ones. Because it would
Yeah.
have fit perfect. It would have fit way better horizontal. But I don't know. This is one of those diehards. Daniel knows them. The diehards that you know.
Hey, you got to give him credit. He made an effort here. He did.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that they got the device. Like somehow got the device in there because you can't even get to the top mounting screw. Like they would have had to trim it out, then have them put the cabinet in, then put the plate on or something somehow.
No, it ain't
Or
either
maybe they
that.
buried it. I don't know.
That top portion sticking out. It looks like to me it's forward. It's off of the plate. The bottom one's flat. So it looks like they just screwed the bottom down, sucked it in there, pushed it back and everything, and then put the cover over it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's sometimes a mystery how these guys are able to butcher things and get them to work. Because to me, I almost think that had to have been just like trimmed out, done, and then they put the cabinet
Yeah.
over top of it. But it looks like the plate's actually cut around the cabinet. So
Hmm.
I
It
don't
is.
know. Yeah, pretty interesting how they're able to do that kind of stuff. Maybe just glue it on with super glue, but. Yeah, dude,
Oh,
I'm so happy about getting this set up, my new studio set up now. So now I could like record my own backing tracks and do different stuff, and got the Dark Shadows set up. So thanks a lot, Daniel. Appreciate it. And Daniel gave me like a shout out earlier because he was, trying to get set up for a project and stuff. So got him set up for that. So real excited, like was that the one? Um, oh yeah, I knew that was the one where you clowned Weed Man on. Yeah, they just totally skipped Minnesota. They're not building any data centers in Minnesota, but I was trying to find where Daniel was talking. Like, dude, there's like we got a lot of comments tonight, man. We did pretty good.
what did he say about Texas again? I gotta read that again because I was
Oh,
like,
the armpit.
Texas is the armpit of the country. That's what he said, or something like that.
Yeah, where? Oh yeah, because where was that one? Um, where was that one? Uh,
Okay. There it is. Okay, that's Texas, the fucking armpit of the country.
Yep. So you heard it here. This guy, he just wants to throw insults and, whatever. He doesn't care what people he offends. And there's some pretty big accusations that he said to me in a private message, and might be, happen to, fire back on it. He thinks that, oh man, what ended up happening was back when COVID was going on, there was a lot of people that were getting laid off from the union, and I was questioning it, like, why are these people getting laid off? Because they didn't do anything. The hall told them to stay home, and they're on lockdown, and the contractor's like, you're not on lockdown, you're essential. And so there was a lot of people that got laid off, and he just stood behind it, just let them get laid off and didn't say anything. And I questioned, like, how come none of the white people got laid off?
Yeah.
And why was it all females? Why is all these females? Like, there was 0 white males that got laid off. There was a whole bunch of females. Why is that? And I questioned it, and he freaked out, and, oh man, you're calling me a racist and a bigot. It's like, well, I'm just calling it as I see it. Yeah. I mean, why was it like that, and why didn't you say anything? If you're against it, you just sat there, watched them do it, didn't say nothing. So pretty interesting. And then they didn't do it honestly either. What they did was they didn't fire him, or they didn't lay him off, or they didn't do anything. What they did was they blackballed him. So they would send him to a job, and then once they found out, oh yeah, this is they get the word going on. Then next thing you know, they get laid off like that first week. Then next thing you know, they get another call. They go to that job, and then it was like that first week they'd be, oh yeah, we're good. And so they would bounce around all these companies, and next thing you know, they were out of companies because they just kept, like, the word got out, and they're like, oh yeah, this is the one that filed a complaint. This is this and this. Oh yeah, this is troublemaker. Da 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 da. Next thing you know, they just said, you know what? We're not even screwing with the union no more. We're out of here. And Weedman found out about that, and he got madder than hell, And I don't blame him, because you're not supposed to find out about that. You're not supposed to find out they've been blackballing you. And they did it to multiple apprentices over there, local 292. So you guys want to, stay away from that Minnesota local over there. But I don't know. I had a good time tonight. We're cracking over 2 hours. Really appreciate everyone joining us. Had a great time. And I'm, as always, remember, make every day an easy day. And I'm out.
Everybody have a good weekend. We'll see y'all next Thursday. Peace.